Okay, John?
Yes, my chair.
Good evening and welcome members, officers, those members of the public here at the meeting. We will show on us our church. For this picture, all the way for meeting. After one on the agenda is apologies for absence, please.
Apologies to Andrew.
Thank you. Item three, public contribution. Freedoms. Three, declaration of interest. Well, members, you know, the school there, so if there was a interest on any of the items on the agenda, no. Item four, agreement. Agenda items part one and two. There is a part two item. So, I need to discuss these, but both of them. All in favor, please show.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. Item five, correspondence for by the chair. One item, I'd just like to welcome Kerry O'Rourke to the council. I'm sure you'll get a big contribution to the council. I'll start with your insurance.
Thank
Thank you, Kerry. Item six, and if you have a question, proceed with item nine or none. So, item seven, public space protection order, dog control, pages 4 to 20 on your pack. Public health and community safety. Over the end.
Chair, and good evening, councillors. So this is about the public spaces protection order, or PSPO, control of dogs. The public spaces protection order is a power given to the council order that creates offences in certain areas to prevent antisocial behaviour or other behaviours alike antisocial behaviour. So in this case, we're talking about the control of dogs. Specifically, the PSPO looks at dog fouling across the district. So it makes dog fouling an offence across the district if at any time on land which the public or any section of the public has access by payment or otherwise, a person who is in charge of the dog allows them to foul and doesn't clean up after themselves effectively, that is an offence under the PSPO. There's dogs on lead, and the order applies there to certain restricted areas where dogs must be kept on a lead. Restricted areas are in the appendix provided. Dogs in exclusion areas, and that's around children's play areas. So the order applies to all enclosed children's play areas within the administrative area of the council. So dogs are excluded from those areas. And dogs in exclusion areas around Oxford Cove as well. So that's specifically the beach. And there is a map again in the appendix. So that creates offences for people who do not comply with the PSPO in those areas if we gain evidence of that. So, just a bit of history around this. Torridge has had a PSPO or some kind of dog control order in place since around 2013. The dog control orders are incredibly important because our staff deal with a lot of issues to do with dogs. So we deal with irresponsible dog ownership and the effects of that, the impacts, all logged and investigated. And from April 22, so this is since the last renewal, we have officers have dealt with 117 stray dogs, 246 reports of fouling, 234 barking dog complaints, and 138 incidents involving dangerous dogs. So not all associated with the PSPO, but you can see how dogs create a lot of work for that team, and this is an important part of the roles and the tools they have in their toolbox to deal with those. So there were two responses to the consultation. for which no changes were planned from the previous PSPO. There were two responses. One response was around mobility issues and having dogs on the beach in Westwood Cove on a time basis, so they're banned for the summer from someone queried about having them on a time basis, so for example, 6 or 7 p.m. they will have a dog on the beach at a certain time the next morning. In response to that, we would say that we have exemptions already clearly laid out in the PSPO around those with registered disabilities who rely on dogs for assistance, so they are exempt from the PSPO control. And also it's important to ensure dogs are not allowed on the beach at certain times of the year. So our Blue Flag Award, which we've just won for the 22nd year running, it's fantastic news. The other consultation response was around the hunt, which again is exempt from the PSPO. And the response to that is that we have further powers under ASB and other legislation to deal with organisations and businesses. So to deal with the hunt, if they were going where they shouldn't or undertaking activities that they shouldn't undertake, or causing a nuisance, then we would use other enforcement powers that are more appropriate than the PSPO for that to take against an organisation. So that is the response to that one. That was the only consultation responses we had. So, in conclusion, as I said earlier, the proposals offer a pragmatic, proportionate and enforceable response to ASB and nuisance issues associated with dog control, and therefore the recommendation is for the dog control from the specified area within the district to be extended in line with the proposals in Appendix 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I leave them for health, wellbeing, community safety. I've been consulted about this. Yes, it's pragmatic, proportional, and enforceable, and I move the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the consultation second response from the accompanied but there is this extension to, it seems like businesses that have dogs. Would this apply to a dog breeder who has a large amount of dogs, or anybody like that making money on that dog?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't apply to dog walking businesses and things like that. So no, it would be. No, well, they would be their dogs, so that's fine. The hunt is they're not taking their dogs out for a walk. That's an organised activity by an organisation, and we have more appropriate ways to do its behaviour that is deemed to be unacceptable.
Well, I mean, any of us who've encountered a pack of hounds in a road in the country know that they are usually wildly out of control. And, you know, it intrigues me that they have this exclusion that doesn't apply to anybody else.
Well, I think the point being that there are more effective ways of dealing with them rather than the PSPO, which isn't designed to deal with that kind of behaviour, if indeed there is more behaviour associated with the organisation on that scale.
Subject.
2, 3.
2 or 3.
2 or 3.
2 or 3. Farmers, breeders, and 3.
Because it's
That's fine.
Okay, so, Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just ask, how long is the dog lead?
3.
A dog lead is a dog lead. I mean, it's about being in control. So obviously, I assuming you're referring to the extendable
Yes, very much so.
extendable style leads. Yeah, I mean, it's about the dog being in control. So I think if they are in control on the end of a, let's call it a tether or something, that's judgment and obviously would have to make.
Thank you.
Okay, but it's been proposed. Someone like to second it? All in favour that we adopt this, please show. Any-
28, there'll be 1 abstention for Councillor Elliott, just to run.
Okay, item 8 is the Fund. Steve. Legal and governance, so all the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, the councillors, I first brought this to the council in September 2024, where I confirmed that we've been awarded 940,000 from the local authority housing fund round 3. The good thing about this fund was it doesn't require Torrid District to fund the funding. The agreement with MHLG is that in return for the funding, we will provide a total of 6 properties. 4 we used immediately for temporary accommodation, and 2 we must allocate for resettlement purposes in the first instance. Then when they're not needed for resettlement, they will go into our temporary accommodation stock. So I said in September that I would bring a report back to full council with the proposals for the spending of the funding. Our estates team have looked at property within the area and have looked at the Devonshire home site at East of Water, and the proposal is to purchase 5 new builds on that site. 3 of which will be 3-bedroom, 2 of which will be 2-bedroom. We have a little bit of top-up funding that we have to contribute towards the purchase price, nearly 18,000. But it will achieve all the objectives of the fund, and in addition, reduce our temporary accommodation costs for Torridge, provide sustainable housing, new builds that we don't have to maintain or do anything to immediately, and the delivery of new housing stock within the area. I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Thomas?
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. The breakdown of what required mentions a 4+ bedroom property, but that doesn't seem to be on the list. I just wonder what's happened to that. And also just wondering why all, just out of curiosity really, why all of the properties are in East of Water? Shouldn't we be distributing them around a little bit more?
Okay, so in relation to the first question, we've already acquired 1 4-bed property that's currently undergoing renovations. We acquired that about 12 months ago.
Right.
Why East of Water? The estates team reviewed the other developments within the area, and they felt that that was the best value for money. And they also negotiated a discount.
Councillor Allen?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted a bit of clarity on this resettlement. Who are the properties for resettlement? Will you just explain a bit further what resettlement means, please?
So it could be any of the schemes that the government are currently administering, as we don't get control over who resettles. But when we acquire the property, we have to inform the government that we have these properties available, and they will be used for any of the resettlement schemes that the government currently have ongoing. Got no more indication as to from what country or when that will be.
Would you say what period of time before they could be available for local people to be housed?
So at the present, I can't give that answer. We've been told we've got to use it for resettlement as long as that family is needed. That property, I think after that first family's left, we can put it in our temporary accommodation cost, but obviously I don't know how long that family may remain in the property.
Councillor Brandon?
Thank you, Jane. In relation to resettlement, is there still a scheme to resettle, maybe it's asking the question in the right way, resettle people, elderly relate, who could come and live with their family in another area? There used to be a scheme in Guildford and Penrith, but people would ask for their elderly mother or father who needed a bit more care to come and live near them in Bideford or wherever. And they were on the list of that council that it was adapted for elderly people. Is that still in existence? Because that was resettlement.
So that's not one of these resettlements, so these are all people outside the country.
Someone who was on the side have a hand up? Councillor Whittaker?
No, thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, because in the past, there have been some shooting based organisations who have privately only settled families here. Do you ever sort of do a sort of collaboration working with them? Because it seems a shame to have houses for asylum seekers and other people trying to actually enhance people's life by bringing them into the area. I mean, is there any sort of cost cutting that goes on or not?
There's community sponsorship schemes, that are run. But we don't get control over who's actually allocated the property, so we have worked closely with community sponsorship schemes, in the area, and actually one of our current councillors is part of one of those schemes. But like I said, we don't allocate, Torridge don't allocate, so once the properties are available, we'll be told, who will be put in those properties.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. That's just a note in that report. Moving on to item 9, petitions, petitions. Item 10, notice of motion, on notice of motion. From Councillor Brian. Brian, you have your 3 minutes if you wish to. Present your motion.
Thank you, Chair. I think everyone should be aware of the plough. You may not be aware that it's actually got 4 hubs, where it's based in Harland, Linton, Barnstable, and of course Torrington, which is where it's originated 50 years ago. A bit of history. Torridge agreed to support the plough with £10,000 over a 3-year period, and that was starting June 2023. So it will run out in June this year, will be the last payment. About 18 months ago, they had a new and reinvigorated council of management of the plough, who were tasked straight away with creating a bold and robust recovery plan to dig the plough out of its post-pandemic blues, because, well, people were less inclined to go back to the seats once the pandemic's over. I think that's fairly common knowledge. The Plough's Council of Management then appointed a new CEO to spearhead their recovery plan, and they've also made redundancies. They reduced their operating hours to just 2 days a week, and they've changed their programme to reflect that, so that they can be more efficient with the time that they're open, and how many people they can get actually on the seats during that time. There's also managed to move them around the energy costs for the building itself, which are astronomical. So with it being open less, there's less energy costs. And so they also have the Plough Cafe, which is a separate entity to the Plough, but it had been struggling, and now the cafe itself is under new management and has since been thriving in its own right, which is a great asset to the Plough as well. And they've undergone major modernisation, as well as using data-led approach to the programme planning to make sure that we're actually delivering things that people want to go to. These changes are already steering the Plough towards a brighter future, having seen ticket sales increase by 35% in January to March this year compared with last year, and it still continues. It does this while still continuing to run the youth theatre, which the CEO intends to roll out to all of the hubs as well in the future. And the North Devon and Torridge economic strategy covers creative industries, and it says cultural and creative growth is essential both for the well-being of our towns and communities, but also for us as healthy people. Investment into the cultural sector is critical to open access for all and bring communities together. And also in the economic strategy, it says,
wind up, Chris, if you could.
one more paragraph. It says that the strategy also covers the year-round visitor economy. So I hope you'll support a motion in keeping the dialogue open to understand how we can best help the Plough going forward. And not support it would be a colossal negative impact to the Plough, but also to the town and district, the economic strategy, and the Globe Hotel project, which is right next door. So I hope you do support this motion. Thank you, Chair. No, I'll propose it, sorry.
Second for that?
Second.
Yes. Press your hand.
Clarity, are they asking for 60,000 from us or totally? And also, if it's.
We're not, actually here to
Oh, I'm
debate that,
sorry.
it needs to be
I'm
something.
just trying to get clarity really, but if it's urgent, then why are we waiting for a report? That's the other point.
It's because we just need to get the ball rolling so we can actually vote on something to get the discussions happening to find out how we help them best.
Well, whichever way we vote tonight, this will be a vote to take it to CNR, you realise?
Yes.
Yeah. Councillor Tinsley, did you, oh, who was the second in that?
Yeah, I was going to second,
Councillor Tinsley, second. Well, thank you. Further proposal, proposed and seconded. This will obviously need to go to CNR for the serious financial implications, so show of hands in support of that, please.
Unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so item 16, exclusion of the public, so we need to move into part 2. I'll second that from the chair, all in favour, please show. Unanimous?
No.
Against?
It's 2 against, Chair. It's the.
Okay, so item 17, moving into part 2. Sorry. I'm really sorry, but. It's this door here, I'm afraid. Sorry about that.